Ohio's Democratic delegates voted to support Kamala Harris as their presidential candidate ahead of the national convention next month. On the other side of the race, if the Republican ticket of Donald Trump and J.D. Vance wins, Ohio Governor Mike DeWine will need to pick a new senator. Today, Columbus Bureau reporter Morgan Trow asked the governor about who could fill that seat and who will not.
With Kamala Harris, the presumptive Democratic candidate for president, Republicans need to change their playbook to compete against her.
We've never had a presidential campaign in the history of this country like this, and it's going to continue to evolve.
Governor Mike DeWine says he isn't worried. Former President Donald Trump won Ohio in both 2016 and 2020 by 8 points.
There's no indication that he is not going to carry Ohio, at least by that at the end.
And while the Democrats are dealing with changes, the governor will have a big decision to make if the Republican ticket wins. Republican vice presidential candidate and Ohio's U.S. Senator J.D. Vance would need to resign from his seat if he and Trump win. And DeWine says hopefuls are already throwing their hats into the ring.
I don't have a short list, and I don't have a long list even yet. There are some people who've expressed an interest, and there are other people who've expressed an interest in who I do appoint.
The governor says he's looking for someone who can win not just the 2026 special elections, but also for the 2028 elections.
Someone who wants to get things done every day and will stay focused on it. It's a tough job. It's not an easy job. We also have to have someone who will be able to stay there a while.
I asked both House Speaker Jason Stephens and Senate President Matt Huffman for their perspective, but they said they're keeping their thoughts to themselves.
I don't think it's helps to get the cart before the horse, if you will.
And if the governor asks my opinion, I'll give it to him. That will be confidential.
A likely pick would be State Senator Matt Dolan. The governor endorsed him in the last U.S. Senate primary, but he came second to Bernie Moreno. Jane Timken is another popular name. She's a Trump ally who ran in 2022 and is currently the RNC committee woman for Ohio.
The governor says that he won't be looking at the possible candidates until after the November election, but he can say one thing for sure.
So you're not planning on appointing yourself to the Senate?
Well, I thought that would be a good rumor we could start. No, I value my 57-year marriage.
At the Ohio State House, I'm Morgan Trow reporting.
And then there's this. President Biden will address the nation from the Oval Office tomorrow night at 8 o'clock to talk about why he stepped away from the presidential race and what lies ahead as he closes out his term as president. And as always, you can get the latest on the presidential race 24/7 from Scripps News. Just search your favorite streaming device.